my question is, Naomi was really pressing the issue that her daughter-in-laws should return home because she could no longer provide sons for them. So my question was, wouldn't they be able to find sons along the road, husbands along the road?
Along the way.
Naomi?
Well, if you go back, there's this concept. It's already enshrined in Deuteronomy called Levirate law. And it's even was practiced before Deuteronomy when you see Judah. Remember when Judah's son marries and then he dies, and then the next son, Onan, marries her, Tamar, and he dies, and then he doesn't want to give the third son Shelah because he's afraid he's going to die. And he lies and says, "Oh, let him grow up, and then I'll give him to you." But he didn't want to do it. Do you remember that? So that's Levirate law. So the way it would be is that the living brother would take the dead brother's responsibility to raise up an heir for the living brother, for the dead brother, and that's Levirate law. And so that's what she's saying. I don't have another son to give you. But interestingly, the nearest relative could operate as the lever, so that meant the replacement husband to raise up an heir. But the thing is, then that one will also have an inheritance from that nearest relative's family line. And so that's why Boaz was so sacrificial. He married Ruth and raised up a seed for Ruth's former husband, an offspring for Ruth's dead husband, as well as taking that child as his own. And so that child was like a double inheritor. So that's what happened. But that's why she was saying, I have no more children to give you to serve as a substitution husband as the law requires.
Ruth was also being sacrificial, not just in her devotion to Naomi, but she was also being sacrificial in the same way, knowing that she may not have a husband.
She did not go with the intention of being married. She I think her devotion is not just to Naomi, but to the God of Israel. You know, your God will be my God, she says to Naomi. And her sister, Orpah, she goes back to her family and to her gods. So what you see is sort of an apostasy on the part of Orpah, but a genuine faith on the part of Ruth. I think you're right that and she was going to follow the God of Israel and serve her mother-in-law regardless of whether she ever married again or not. And you see her when she goes to Bethlehem. What's she doing? She's out there gleaning, which is God's provision through the law of Moses for people who are poverty-stricken, to glean the corners of the fields. And she goes to glean. She goes to work hard to care not just for herself, but for her mother-in-law. She's quite the woman, and she is called in the narrative by Boaz an Eshet Chayil, which I think that's a Hebrew phrase. It means a woman of valor or a noble woman. And it's the same expression that's used in Proverbs 31 of woman of valor or a noble woman who can find. And it's interesting, in the original Hebrew order of the books, Proverbs 31 is followed by the book of Ruth. So you have the description of the woman of valor in Proverbs 31, and then you have the narrative description of her in the life of Ruth that follows immediately after in the order of the canon in the Hebrew Bible. Isn't that interesting, Lucy? I just think that
it is.
Yeah, it's huge. She's a terrific role model. I'm glad she made it into the line of the Messiah.
I know.
Yeah.